Now, to many, they're a harmless pastime, but computer games can also be addictive and occasionally dangerous.
They're playing for days on end to the exclusion of everything else, even school, friends and family.
Eyewitness News reporter Deshaun Brown spoke with one mother whose son battled an addiction to video games.
New alert from the World Health Organization about video game addiction. The organization is now designating gaming disorder as a mental health condition.
In the 1980s, amusement arcades were the only place where you could play video games. With bright lights, strange sounds, and colourful graphics, the amusement arcade became the ideal spot to hang out and socialise whilst playing games for young teenagers. The first game that grabbed my attention in the arcade was this game, Street Fighter 1. And as you can see, this game was worlds apart from Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. Looking at this through the lens of a gamer and as a parent, the social dynamic of arcade games changed when home consoles like the Commodore 64, Amstrad and Spectrum 128K became available to play at home.
I can be the most powerful force in the universe, and you get 6 other free games and a free joystick.
You're turning into a real computer expert, and at £199, I've saved the Earth.
The new Sinclair Spectrum Plus 3 with built-in disk drive. Who would you like to be?
Throughout the 1990s, computer games and console games improved dramatically, indirectly harvesting the environment that can enable gaming addiction, just by having a console in your home. The social aspect was still relevant, as not everyone owned a gaming console, and so people would gather at each other's homes to play for hours on end.
Basically a Doom clone with an extra element. The Mario Kart games were very simple, but still fun. However, when Mario Kart 64 was released in '96, everything changed. New items, tons of courses, awesome through '99, and blew people's minds. Great graphics, awesome weapons, fast-paced arena gameplay, and improving on just about every aspect of the FPS standards that Quake had. It was just plain amazing. The platforming, the music, the characters, DK Country single-handedly saved the Super NES as it was starting to...
Towards the end of the 1990s, the internet became mainstream, and the multiplayer online gaming revolution was born. The ability to play against another player from the other side of the world effectively made gamers begin to play online alone. Who needs physical friends, eh? Halo was a flag bearer of multiplayer online gaming, although not the first, but certainly championed to the mainstream of gamers. Fast forward a couple of decades and we now have the phenomena of online gaming, which highlights the online gaming addiction or disorder, which has been recognized by the World Health Organization, who released this article on the 14th of September 2018, which reads: Gaming disorder is defined by the 11th revision of the International Classification of Disease as a pattern of gaming behavior characterized by impaired control over gaming, increasing priority given to gaming over other activities to the extent that gaming takes precedence over interests and daily activities, and continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. For gaming disorder to be diagnosed, the behavior pattern must be of sufficient severity to result in significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning and would normally have been evident for at least 12 months. Now, according to UKRehab.com, online game Fortnite, which now has over 200 million players globally, was cited in over 200 divorces in the UK in 2018, which is interesting. So what are some of the effects of online gaming disorder?
So some of the problems that you're experiencing as a mum, looking after these kids, it tends to happen when it's time to turn the console off. So what happens? What have you noticed?
So it's either time for bed or time for dinner. Selective hearing, they don't hear me. So it's like, I'm coming, Mum, I'm coming, I'll be off in a minute, and then they can't pause the game because it's live. So
right. Things like Fortnite, you're in a game, you can't just come out
you can't just sort of pause it and then come off the game. So then the temper tantrums, the screaming, the shouting, doors slamming.
And it's anger. You said it's the anger that you're not expecting.
It does. It brings out a certain anger that it's like, wow, a game can actually make you this upset.
I'm very, very aware of the pain that it can cause a family.
Melanie Hempy says her oldest son, Adam, battles a video game addiction through his teenage years into college. The warning signs were all there. There were mood changes. He quit activities. He eventually dropped out of school.
He had to play every day. See, children shouldn't have to play video games every day. I'm a nurse, and I thought I had a pretty good handle on medical issues, but no one taught me about this in nursing school, about screen addiction.
So the area that really lit up is a dopamine area of the brain.
You can see Cash's brain on the left, Amato's, the non-Fortnite player, on the right. Watching Fortnite, Dr. Newberg says Cash's brain had much greater activation than Amato's in an area called the anterior cingulate, a structure that in part is involved in dopamine release and for some people can be associated with addiction.
These are areas that are very involved in our reward system of the brain.
Dr. Newberg says gaming addiction is a real disorder, but gaming has also, though, been proven to improve visual and spatial awareness. And while the reward centers of Cash's brain are lit up, none of this is predictive of addictive behaviors.
Well, Henrietta, I mean, you founded the first NHS Centre for Internet Gaming Disorders. That opened in December 2019. How many referrals have you had?
We've had 43, I checked last night, 43 people wanting to come. 22 have filled in referral forms. Many of those have been seen and are now in treatment or waiting to be treated. What we are seeing are boys, really. They tend to be teenage boys. And many of the things you've mentioned today are indeed the things being reported. One of the most surprising ones was the fact that so much aggression, indeed some violence, is manifested in children who have always been kind and considerate to their parents. So the first thing to say, and it's really important to hear this message, an addiction is a very serious situation where an individual has lost control of their behaviour and is suffering extremely negative consequences, be it on their health, on their emotional, psychological well-being, on their financial side if they're gamblers. But in this case, I would say that a lot of the population is gaming. And I would say that when people talk about all young people are addicted to gaming, that's certainly not the case. There are many young people who enjoy gaming. There'll be a very small percentage who are displaying what we can say are loss of control, negative consequences, such as dropping grades at school. We see that a lot. People absolutely focus on the game and no longer exhibit their competitiveness within an academic environment.
So taking the aspects of online gaming disorder into account, it seems that this will be the way of things for the future. Although, according to a recent report on wired.co.uk, the Chinese government have announced that people under the age of 18 can now only play for 1 hour between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Fridays, weekends and public holidays. Let's see how that works out. Thank you for watching.